Aoi cheerfully greets a vendor at a bustling market in the royal capital. The shopkeeper makes small talk, noticing the young girl is shopping by herself today. A passing young man recognizes Aoi just as she complains about her talkative mother. Their peaceful day is shattered as a monstrous shadow falls over the city. A blinding flash of energy erupts, catching everyone completely by surprise. In an instant, the vibrant market is reduced to smoking ruins and cries of anguish. The culprit is revealed, the legendary and terrifying Black Dragon. It descends upon the capital, spreading its wings and inciting mass panic among the citizens. A man identifies the creature as the Demon King's top lieutenant, realizing their hopeless situation. Just as despair sets in, the Royal Mage Corps arrives, preparing to counter the immense threat. The Mage Corps commander roars the command to attack, unleashing a unified volley of magic. Unimpressed, the Black Dragon grins menacingly as the spells fly towards it. Their combined magic detonates in a colossal explosion, sparking a flicker of hope among the survivors. But the smoke clears to reveal the beast completely unscathed, crushing their spirits in an instant. It retaliates by opening its jaws wide, forcing the commander to frantically order a defensive formation. A torrent of dark power spews from the dragon's maw as the mages hastily erect a magical shield. Their desperate barrier shatters like glass, leaving the mages and their leader in absolute shock. Looming over the devastation, the dragon's shadow brings a final, crushing wave of despair to the survivors. Aoi desperately searches for her mother in the rubble, only to be callously pushed aside by a panicked citizen. Suddenly, a mysterious figure intervenes, single-handedly erecting a massive barrier to halt the dragon's assault. A spell called the Grace of the Blessed Rain envelops the entire ruined capital. As a gentle rain falls, the citizens are stunned to find their wounds miraculously healing. The crowd erupts in cheers, recognizing their savior as the legendary adventurer, the Black Emperor. The Black Emperor looks on with cold indifference, his focus solely on the enemy above. He materializes a formidable weapon of dark energy, the Divine Annihilation Spear. Without hesitation, he hurls the spear with incredible force straight at the Black Dragon. The spear connects, but the Emperor calmly notes that the beast is too strong to go down in one hit. Unimpressed, he vows to continue the assault, summoning an entire arsenal of dark magic. The relentless attack finally gets a reaction as the dragon roars in a mix of pain and fury. Enraged, the beast unleashes its own devastating breath attack, aimed squarely at the Black Emperor. Unfazed by the incoming blast, the Emperor declares the dragon's attack won't work on him again. He effortlessly deflects the dragon's full-power breath attack with a single hand, vowing it won't escape. In a brutal counterattack, the Black Emperor completely obliterates the legendary beast. He floats silently above the fallen dragon as the citizens below stare in utter disbelief. The initial shock gives way to a massive cheer from the saved populace as their hero descends. But just as the celebration begins, the crowd realizes their savior is already turning to leave. Aoi watches with gratitude while the others lament that they never got the chance to thank him. Without a moment's rest, he arrives at the Adventurers Guild to report the completion of his quest. The guild erupts in shock while the receptionist reveals she's been preparing specifically for this moment. He then reveals his true motive. Defeating the Demon King's lieutenant was simply his way of quitting the adventurer life for good. He calmly declares his retirement from the legendary Grade 0 rank, leaving the entire guild in stunned disbelief. The news of his retirement sends shockwaves across the globe, with nations desperately trying to recruit him, but he vanishes without a trace. 3 years later, the legendary hero, now free from his past, finally reaches a peaceful-looking town ready to begin anew. With a confident smirk, he embraces his new identity as a powerful but unemployed man, eager to start a completely different life. Adopting the name Blanc, he registers as a new adventurer, receiving the lowest possible rank of Grade 10. The cheerful guild receptionist Lena formally welcomes him to the Claret branch in the Kingdom of Re-Rate. With his new life officially underway, he steps out onto the streets of Claret, ready to embrace a peaceful existence. He reflects on his past in the bustling Radiola Empire, finding relief in the quiet streets of Claret, a town he chose specifically to escape the crowds. To conceal his true identity, he spent the last 3 years mastering the sword, a fighting style completely different from his magic, hoping he'll never have to use it. After thanking a friendly gatekeeper for directions, he learns the town borders the dangerous demon forest, a fact that gives him a moment of pause. With his new life underway, Blanc proudly walks the streets, relishing his new status as a Grade 10 adventurer. The gatekeeper's warning about the demon forest is revealed to be an understatement. It's rumored to be the territory of the second demon king. This dangerous proximity is exactly what Blanc wanted, as it guarantees a steady stream of simple, low-level jobs perfect for a rookie. After the gatekeeper wishes him well, Blanc decides his first priority is to find a quest at the guild. However, he makes an unexpected detour, stopping first at a local real estate office. He confidently walks in and informs the welcoming agent that he's looking to purchase a house. The agent notes that most adventurers live in inns, as owning a home is a luxury few can afford. Blanc remembers his master's advice, who always stressed the importance of having a permanent home to return to. He tells the agent his only requirements are that the house be large and have a bath, having saved plenty of money over the last 3 years.
The agent leads him to a potential property, but Blanc is left utterly speechless by the sight of it.
The agent warns that the property is on the outskirts, prone to monster attacks, but Blanc eagerly agrees to take a look. Blanc is impressed by the spacious, well-furnished interior, immediately deciding to take it despite its remote location. When asked about payment, Blanc nonchalantly offers to pay in full, pulling out a massive bag of gold that shocks the agent. As the stunned agent continues to process the sheer amount of gold, Blanc realizes he might have made the situation a little awkward. Relaxing in his new home, he considers the 10 million price of steel compared to the 10 billion he got for defeating the Black Dragon. Holding his new adventurer card, he admits the house is large for one person, but prefers it over any cramped space. With a satisfied smile, he proudly acknowledges his new status as a grade 10 adventurer, officially starting his new life. Meanwhile, at the guild, other adventurers gossip about a rookie who was instantly promoted to grade 7 upon registration. The surrounding adventurers grumble about this special treatment, but a taller figure advises his smaller companion to ignore their jealousy. The elf mentor reminds his protege that this is a world of merit, where undeniable results are the only way to silence the doubters. The scene flashes back to the past, where adventurers whisper about the legendary Black Emperor, a man who completes every mission flawlessly. They recall his meteoric rise to grade 0, describing his movements as fluid as flowing ink, branding him a total monster. The memory deepens, revealing his white-haired master observing a much younger and more vulnerable Blanc from afar. His master had given him one final impossible task to earn his freedom: slay the Black Dragon, a top servant of the first Demon King. Though he questioned the purpose of his master's commands, the Black Emperor resolved to carry them out without fail. At the guild, a receptionist praised his legendary status, earned by never failing a request, as she offered him yet another high-stakes mission. After completing a task, he's suddenly swarmed by a group of rowdy, low-ranked adventurers celebrating wildly. The receptionist apologizes for the commotion, explaining they are new grade 10 recruits as she tries to calm them down. He learns these rookies can only do menial tasks, a concept he finds baffling for adventurers meant to slay monsters. The young adventurers gratefully thank him for his help, leaving him to ponder the unfamiliar idea of grunt work. He realizes even the most menial tasks have a profound impact, helping not just adventurers but all of society. The realization hits him hard, as he admits his focus on killing blinded him to the real purpose of being an adventurer. He questions the true meaning of his past, acknowledging that he only ever slayed monsters for the nobility. He understands now that the monsters he hunted were never a real threat, but simply trophies for the greedy elite. He questions who the real errand boy was, now desiring work that genuinely helps people rather than serving the wealthy. He recalls how the guild's rules and the noble's endless requests barred a grade 0 adventurer like him from ever taking on such meaningful low-grade jobs. A memory of his master surfaces, the one who gave him his name and set him on this path. His master had promised him one thing in exchange for his impossible tasks: true freedom. Holding his new grade 10 card, he wonders if his master had planned for him to find this new life from the very beginning. He reflects on his past as a numb killing machine who didn't even know himself, realizing his heart can finally begin to heal. He remembers having no memories before his master, but decides his past identity no longer matters. With a sigh of relief, he reaffirms his new life as Blanc, a simple grade 10 adventurer. Eager to begin, he decides his first day of freedom is the perfect time to pick up a quest. As he leaves his new home, he briefly wonders what his mysterious master is doing. The scene cuts to his master, a white-haired elf who is being confronted by a persistent official. The man demands she reveal the Black Emperor's location, addressing her as the legendary sword saint Cluel. She tells Chairman Vulcan to abandon his search, but he slams the desk, enraged that 3 years have passed. Vulcan desperately explains that a mountain of requests are piling up for the Black Emperor because no other special grade adventurer will take them. Cluel scoffs at his powerlessness, correcting that he simply can't force the other top adventurers to act. Her gaze turns sharp and menacing, daring the chairman to challenge her authority. Cluel coldly questions who the chairman thinks he's threatening, her presence radiating immense power. The chairman, a high-ranking Grade 1 adventurer himself, gasps for air under her suffocating aura. She reminds him of the massive power gap between a Grade 1 and a Grade 0, clarifying that only an old promise keeps her from disappearing. Vulcan desperately argues that the Emperor's willingness to take on their errands is precisely why he's so indispensable. She crushes the requests under her boot, contemptuously dismissing them as trivial matters. Grabbing his chin, she reveals she guided Blanc to find his own purpose, only for them to exploit his lack of will. She declares that Blanc was never their tool, and now that he's found his freedom, they have no right to interfere. Leaving the chairman speechless, she storms out of the room, ending the conversation on her terms. Alone in the hall, her stern demeanor softens as she wonders if Blanc is doing well, content as long as he's found peace. A sly smile crosses her face as she decides it might be time to pay her former student a personal visit. Back at the guild, Blanc stands before the quest board, brimming with excitement to take on his very first Grade 10 request. He surveys the simple, unpopular requests: lost cats, shopping errands, and herb gathering. He notices that even low-rank adventurers prefer monster hunts, leaving the simpler tasks behind as he selects his first job. He presents his chosen quest to Lena, who confirms the task and prepares to process it with a peculiar magical box. He's amazed as the quest is magically logged onto his license, realizing this is how normal adventurer requests are handled. While examining a sample of the Hyria grass, he's struck by a sudden, intense flash of insight that causes him visible distress. Concerned, Lena asks if he's all right, but he recognizes this unsettling feeling is happening yet again. He's overwhelmed as knowledge he shouldn't possess floods his mind, detailing everything from the herb's habitat to its use in making poison. He quickly dismisses her concern as a simple headache, thanking her for the sample before heading out on his very first job. Now at the edge of the forest, he prepares to begin his search for the Hyria grass. He quickly spots the Hyria grass, realizing the forest floor is practically covered with it. That strange flash of insight provides him with the perfect method for harvesting the herb without damaging the plant. His peaceful gathering is interrupted by a slime, a weak but surprisingly dangerous monster known for sneak attacks. Without a second thought, he effortlessly crushes the creature under his boot. He glances at the leftover monster core, dismissing it as pocket change since he's not short on cash. Completely unfazed by the encounter, he eagerly returns to his task, spotting a jackpot of herbs nearby. Returning to town with a massive haul, he reflects on how much he enjoys these simple, mindless tasks. Back at the guild, Lena cheerfully greets him as he reports the successful completion of his first request. Lena is stunned by the mountain of herbs he presents, as he admits he might have overdone it a little. Amused by his enthusiasm for such a menial task, Lena finds him peculiar as she takes the herbs for verification. As Blanc leaves, he overhears other adventurers gossiping about strange activity in the demon forest. The rumors escalate to talk of monsters somehow getting inside the town walls, a thought that startles Blanc. Lena calls him back, but he's lost in thought, recalling that the supposedly peaceful third demon king resides in that very forest. She excitedly praises the pristine condition of the herbs he gathered, handing him his reward with a huge smile. With heartfelt gratitude, she explains his simple task has solved a critical medicine shortage that other adventurers ignored. After congratulating him, she remembers something important and presents him with his adventurer card. He accepts the card with a genuine smile, pleased with the official completion of his first real job. Walking through the town at night, he passes the gossiping adventurers, who now whisper about how he inadvertently helped them. He raises a fist to the sky, proudly declaring himself a certified errand boy, eager for the next day's work. The quiet rooftops of Claret stand peacefully under the night sky, a stark contrast to his former life. The next day, Blanc leaps across rooftops on another simple quest, this time to find a lost cat. With a confident smirk, he zeroes in on his furry target, ready to complete the mission. He snatches the startled feline midair with practiced ease, showcasing his surprising agility. While struggling to contain the feisty animal, he confirms it's the correct, very fuzzy target. Despite completing the request, he's bewildered by the cat's violent attempts to escape his grasp. He returns the pet to its owner, realizing that both animals and monsters react to him with unusual hostility. Looking a bit worse for wear, he meets his next client, Belmo, the head of a local trading company. The new job is straightforward manual labor, loading heavy goods onto a large wagon. Belmo explains that Blanc was the only one to take the job, as others avoid the low pay and high risk. While Belmo complains about adventurers ignoring community needs, Blanc simply accepts the task without hesitation. Without breaking a sweat, Blanc hoists a towering stack of crates, leaving Belmo utterly speechless. Belmo questions if he can even lift that much, but Blanc casually remarks that the load is still quite light. Inspired by his impossible strength, the other workers scramble to keep up, refusing to be shown up. As the men struggle with their pride, Blanc advises them not to push themselves too hard. Suddenly, a worker loses his balance, sending a heavy crate plummeting towards his colleagues below. In a flash, Blanc dives in, catching both the falling worker and the crate with impossible speed. Holding them securely, he calmly asks if everyone is okay, completely unfazed by the incident. The rescued workers are a mix of flustered and grateful, thanking him for the incredible save. He reassures Belmo that everything is fine and effortlessly secures the cargo, asking him to check for damage. Belmo gratefully thanks him, admitting that Blanc saved not just the goods, but his workers as well. Belmo is so impressed by his strength that he offers Blanc a permanent job with his company. Blanc politely declines, explaining he enjoys his current lifestyle as an adventurer, but Belmo leaves the offer open. He reflects on his recent jobs, realizing he finds more fulfillment in helping people with simple tasks than he ever did as a top-ranked hero. Back at the guild, Lena cheerfully announces his promotion to grade 9, but Blanc's horrified reaction leaves her stunned. He desperately tries to refuse the promotion, only to learn that advancing ranks is an automatic guild policy. Utterly crushed by the news, he comically despairs over losing his beloved grade 10 status. Another adventurer points out that promotions are necessary to take on monster-slaying quests and protect the public. Lena adds that their ultimate mission is to expand safe territory for humanity, a point that makes Blanc reconsider his stance. Just as he resolves to hunt monsters for the weak, Lena reveals he can still take low-level quests, causing his mood to instantly brighten. Relieved that he can have the best of both worlds, he happily agrees to the promotion and hands over his license. Lena congratulates him on his promotion, but his devastated expression prompts her to offer him a special request. Just then, a new adventurer arrives as Lena explains she needs him to guide a newly registered grade 10. The enthusiastic rookie beams, excitedly asking if the stoic Blanc is going to be her new mentor. Blanc is left utterly speechless, completely bewildered by the unexpected responsibility. He immediately tries to decline, insisting he's not qualified, but the rookie and a panicked Lena urge him to listen. Lena explains that by completing so many simple quests, he's inadvertently preventing other rookies from ranking up. She points out he's been cherry-picking the easy jobs, avoiding low success rate tasks like finding lost pets. Furthermore, he's also avoided difficult herb-gathering quests, which are crucial for a rookie's advancement. While the guild appreciates his help, Blanc realizes his quest hoarding has unintentionally created a bottleneck for new adventurers. Lena reveals no one has ever been so fixated on low-rank jobs, leaving Blanc cornered into accepting the mentorship. Lena explains the guild will pay for his knowledge, even joking about a rank up, but Blanc cuts her off, unimpressed by the offer. He contemplates the offer, questioning his ability to teach knowledge that floods his mind without explanation. Acknowledging his role in the rookie bottleneck, he finally agrees to the mentorship, much to the new adventurer's relief. The rookie, Arya, introduces herself with such vigor that she accidentally headbutts him, leaving Blanc to marvel at her intense passion for errand quests. He eagerly accepts his new errand-loving comrade, and Lena sends them off with a warning that he's a bit odd but undeniably skilled. With their first lesson underway, Blanc explains he'll be teaching her the proper way to handle a simple herb-gathering request. Arya excitedly identifies the Hyria grass, but admits it's the only one she knows, so Blanc agrees to guide her through the rest one by one. He demonstrates the proper harvesting method, explaining how to leave the root for regrowth and wrap the stem to preserve freshness, impressing Arya with his knowledge. He then advises against using water-filled containers, explaining the method is too bulky and troublesome for a herb that isn't particularly rare or valuable. Arya looks at him with admiration, amazed by his expertise, and while he calls it basic knowledge, she insists that's what makes him so incredible. Arya realizes that even simple errands require great care, a lesson she never considered before. A subtle smile crosses Blanc's face, pleased that his student is finally understanding the true value of their work. She eagerly asks for more lessons and he agrees, warning that underestimating errands is a rookie mistake. He points out another herb, lilac grass, and demonstrates how to harvest it, but stops mid-sentence with a crucial warning. That familiar, unsettling flash of insight strikes him again, overwhelming his senses with knowledge he shouldn't have. He stumbles, clutching his head as the unwanted information floods his mind, leaving Arya confused. When she asks about his warning, he quickly covers, downplaying the herb's danger to avoid revealing his strange ability. Back at the guild, Lena cheerfully announces his promotion to grade 8, much to his visible dismay. While Arya celebrates her own rapid advancement to grade 9, Blanc desperately tries to find a way to halt his own promotions. Lena reveals his success has inspired a new mentorship program, and though he's weary, Blanc is glad he could help. While Lena hopefully suggests a combat quest, nearby adventurers mockingly label Blanc the infamous errand boy. They point out how other rookies have already outranked him by taking on proper monster hunts instead of just doing errands. Baffled by his lack of ambition, they question his purpose as an adventurer, but acknowledge the guild's strange favoritism towards him. Lena attempts to reassure him about the value of his work, but he seems frustrated by the other adventurers' judgment. He calmly processes the fact that his unique approach has already earned him a rather unflattering nickname. Ignoring the gossip, he turns back to the counter as Lena officially processes his request. Watching him go, Lena can't help but smile, finding his dedication to menial tasks endearingly strange. A fellow receptionist named Reena suddenly appears, playfully asking Lena about the rumored adventurer who just left. While Reena finds the nickname fitting, Lena points out that Blanc is actually a huge help, clearing the quests no one else wants. Reena critiques his messy hair and lack of drive, concluding he's not exactly prime dating material, much to Lena's dismay. Lena slams her hand on the counter, challenging Reena's shallow judgment of Blanc. Reena shamelessly announces their real job is to find a strong, rich, and handsome adventurer to marry, leaving Lena stunned. She gushes over high-ranking prospects like the handsome, noble-born Kevin, completely lost in her fantasy. The tables turn as Reena and the other adventurers eagerly ask Lena who she has her eye on. As a flustered Lena denies looking for anyone, Reena strategically advises targeting promising mid-rankers before the competition gets too fierce. Realizing the crowd won't let up, a cornered Lena reluctantly prepares to answer their prying questions. Caving to the pressure, she admits she'd prefer a lower-ranked adventurer, a response that shocks Reena into trying to list potential candidates. Her preference for a safer, low-rank partner baffles the other adventurers who question the financial stability of such a choice. With a warm smile, she explains that being together is more important than wealth, as she intends to keep working alongside her partner. Her reasoning becomes heartbreakingly clear as she reveals her own father was a hero who died on a quest, making her value family over fame. The adventurers fall silent, processing Lena's tragic past as she offers a knowing smile. Reena connects Lena's desire for safety to the infamous errand boy, realizing he'd be the perfect risk-free partner. Lena playfully agrees he's her ideal, then immediately dismisses him as unreliable, leaving Reena baffled by the sudden reversal. Reena insists Lena must choose someone who will make her happy, quietly considering Blanc as a potential match. The scene cuts to Arya, who has found Blanc and eagerly asks to team up with him once more. She explains the job is to collect golem fruit, a resource that only grows inside the dangerous demon forest. Arya confesses she's too nervous to enter the treacherous forest alone, hoping he'll agree to accompany her. As she tries to take back the request, Blanc cuts her off, calmly agreeing to help without a second thought. He tells her to wait right there, then vanishes in a blur of motion to finish his current task, leaving her stunned. Arya is left in awe of his speed, realizing the immense physical power required just to be a grade 8 adventurer. Arya's confidence wavers as she compares her own abilities to Blanca's impossible feats. She physically shakes herself out of her negativity, resolving to become stronger. With renewed determination, she vows to try harder, earning a supportive comment from a surprised Blanc. The two share a brief comical moment of mutual encouragement. Blanc suddenly reappears, ready for their quest, leaving a bewildered Arya to question how he returned so quickly. Meanwhile, deep within the demon forest, a mysterious woman collapses, sensing an impossibly powerful presence. Looking up in terror, she recalls that this entity was supposed to have been defeated long ago. Trapped by dark tendrils, she begs the unseen force to leave her in peace. The source of her terror is revealed to be the legendary Sixth Demon King. Back with the adventurers, Arya bravely casts a water spell, fending off a vicious snake monster. She follows up her spell with a decisive sword strike, finishing off the monster with surprising force. Blanc watches in mild shock as Arya proudly boasts about her dedicated training to become an adventurer. As they walk, she reveals her motivation stems from the Black Dragon's attack on her town 3 years ago, a detail that piques Blanc's interest. She describes the hopelessness of the situation, causing Blanc to have a minor internal crisis as he realizes she's talking about his 10 billion gold quest. Arya's face lights up with adoration as she recalls the moment her savior, the Black Emperor, appeared. She excitedly recounts a slightly exaggerated version of events, praising the Emperor's compassion and power in healing the city and slaying the beast. A flashback reveals a younger, tearful Arya, vowing to become an adventurer capable of protecting others after witnessing the hero's actions. She declares the Black Emperor is her ultimate role model, leaving Blanc completely speechless at the irony. Blanc is lost in the strange feeling of having inspired someone, just as another snake monster startles Arya. He calmly dismisses the threat and compliments her sword form, while she spots their quest objective, the golem fruit tree. Arya excitedly spots their target, while Blanc is once again hit by a flash of unwanted knowledge about the golem fruits. He calmly instructs her on the proper harvesting technique, advising her to handle the fruit gently to avoid bruising it. Blanc adds that the stems must be trimmed short, a small detail that prevents the entire batch from being ruined during transport. With their task complete, he senses an overwhelming magical presence, realizing the rumored Third Demon King's power surpasses even the Black Dragon's. As Arya suggests they leave, Blanc finds it strange that such immense power radiates no hostility at all. Deciding not to act on his suspicions, he resolves to simply keep an eye on the situation for the time being. In a flash of incredible skill, he demonstrates his sword mastery by harvesting an entire tree's worth of fruit in a single fluid motion. His technique perfectly fills 2 large crates, showcasing his inhuman speed and precision. The onlookers are left in awe of his amazing skill, while he internally notes how tedious the task would be without his unique abilities. The grateful orchard owner offers him a permanent job, but Blanc politely turns it down, content with his adventurer lifestyle. The friendly gatekeeper expresses concern, telling Blanc he's working a bit too hard. He points out Blanc's relentless schedule, but the former hero insists he's not overdoing it at all. The guard advises him to explore the town, making Blanc realize he never once considered taking a break in his past life. A food vendor tries to sell him on the town's charms, starting with his famous grilled skewers. After one bite, Blanc realizes it would be a waste not to experience these simple pleasures. Inspired, he enthusiastically decides to make time to properly explore his new hometown. The grateful vendor offers him another skewer on the house as a token of appreciation for his help. Blanc is surprised to learn that his simple quests have earned him the gratitude of the entire town. He learns his herb gathering has solved a critical potion shortage that plagued the community. Overwhelmed by their kindness, he happily accepts their thanks and the free food. He learns that monster hunts pay far better, which is why adventurers often ignore the town's simpler, less lucrative requests. The simple meal makes him reflect on his past, realizing his master was the one who first showed him such kindness. As the townsfolk admit that monster hunting has a certain appeal, Blanc listens with a thoughtful expression. He passionately argues that completing errands for the community is just as heroic and important. The vendors find his dedication endearing but strange, warning him not to cause any more trouble for the guild receptionist, Lena. Just then, more townspeople approach, jokingly telling the others not to monopolize their local hero. Blanc is suddenly swarmed by a grateful crowd, all eager to thank him with gifts for his hard work. Overwhelmed by their generosity, he struggles to carry the mountain of food and supplies they press upon him. From her flower shop, a woman watches the heartwarming scene unfold with an amused smile. Laden with gifts, he politely tries to refuse more, as another admirer swoons over the handsome devil who has captured the town's heart. Inspired by his new home, he asks the flower shop owner for advice on starting a backyard garden. She recommends a low-maintenance vegetable called tamaroot, and he eagerly buys some seeds. After a hard day's work planting, he looks over his new garden with a sense of accomplishment. He realizes it's the first time he's truly relaxed in his new home, finding joy in his newfound hobby. Later, he soaks in his bath, letting out a sigh of pure, unadulterated bliss. He reflects on how his past self was too numb to appreciate these simple, everyday pleasures. Overcome with emotion, he can't believe he wasted so much time without experiencing such simple happiness. He dunks his head under the water, washing away the weariness of his old life. Fully refreshed, he clenches his fist, fired up and ready to get back to his beloved errands. Back at the guild, Lena is amused to see that for all his newfound motivation, he's still just taking another simple gathering quest. Lena cheerfully mentions that Arya took the same quest, suggesting he might even run into his former student. She sends him off with a final warning about the dangers of the demon forest, which he calmly accepts. Left flustered by Reena's matchmaking attempts, Lena sighs, feeling strangely nervous about her feelings for Blanc. The guild's peaceful atmosphere is shattered as a panicked adventurer bursts in and collapses, screaming bad news. A crowd gathers around the exhausted man, who manages to gasp out a warning about a threat in the demon forest. He reveals the source of his terror, describing the sudden appearance of a monstrous tyrant golem. The guild is stunned to learn the grade 3 monster didn't appear deep in the forest but right at the entrance. Panic spreads as they realize their town has no adventurers strong enough to face the 3 tyrant golems. The branch leader takes command, issuing an emergency mission and ordering all grade 7 and higher adventurers to prepare for battle. He makes the request mandatory, but another adventurer points out that even he, a former grade 4, can't handle them alone. The guild leader roars at the other adventurers, ordering them to mobilize immediately for the emergency quest. Lena frantically points out that grade 8 and 9 adventurers are already in the forest, completely unaware of the danger. He realizes with dread that the trapped rookies are likely the ones who took the grade 9 Olem fruit collection request. The leader recalls the infamous errand guy and his student, noting their unfortunate preference for non-combat jobs. He dismisses their chances of survival, concluding that an adventurer who avoids fighting is useless in this crisis. Despite Lena's horrified expression, the leader insists they can't afford to worry about the low rankers right now. Another adventurer coldly states the guild's harsh policy. In a crisis, low rankers are expected to fend for themselves. The leader holds back a tearful Lena, forcing her to accept that protecting the town must come before any rescue attempt. Deep in the forest, a defeated Arya and other adventurers lie scattered, their hope dwindling as they wish for a savior. Looming over them is the source of their despair, a colossal tyrant golem, its presence crushing any last chance of survival. Blanc arrives at the gathering spot but finds the situation puzzling. The area is completely barren, with no olem fruits or even common herbs to be found. He rules out overharvesting, concluding that something has made the plants mysteriously disappear. The thought of failing his first errand sends him into a panic, worried about his hard-earned reputation as the errand guy. His focus suddenly sharpens as a powerful presence enters his senses. He detects a monster far beyond what this forest should contain, realizing it's too much for the local adventurers. His insight instantly identifies the threat as a grade 3 tyrant golem, a plant-based monster. He understands the golem has been draining the forest's life force, causing the plants to wither away. With a grimace, he realizes this monster is the sole reason his simple quest is being obstructed. Deciding to eliminate the nuisance, he's about to strike when he spots a fallen figure already on the ground. He's shocked to find the fallen adventurer is none other than his student, Arya. As the golem strikes, he draws his sword in a blur, deflecting the attack aimed at Arya. He scoops the unconscious Arya into his arms, shielding her from the looming threat with a determined glare. Leaping to a safer distance, he quickly administers a healing potion to his injured student. The potion stabilizes her condition, and he reflects on the irony of never needing one himself until now. The high-quality potion immediately begins to mend her injuries. He notices a strange haze around her, struggling to recall a forgotten lesson from his master. Setting the mystery aside, he resolves to get Arya back to the safety of town immediately. Suddenly, a massive blast of energy erupts from the forest, catching him completely off guard. Caught in the blast's aftermath, he stares at the devastation, questioning the chaotic state of the forest. He realizes the situation is far worse than he thought, as not one but 2 golems stand before him. He effortlessly dodges a powerful strike, leaping away with Arya still safely in his arms. He realizes this isn't a random encounter. The presence of multiple golems suggests a coordinated attack. The monsters display surprising speed and intelligence, coordinating their attacks in a way he's never seen before. A dark, ominous presence is shown, hinting at a sinister force pulling the strings from the shadows. The mysterious woman smirks as Blanc deduces the golems are being controlled, resolving to end the fight quickly. He confidently declares that the monster's strength is meaningless if they can't land a single blow on him. With Arya still in one arm, he unleashes a devastating circular slash with his sword, targeting both golems at once. The attack instantly obliterates the two colossal threats, leaving him standing calmly in the aftermath. He critically assesses his own swordsmanship, admitting it's not yet on his master's level but still impressively effective. With the immediate threat gone, Blanc thoughtfully considers how to handle the aftermath. He glances at the unconscious adventurers and the golem wreckage, wondering how to dispose of the evidence. Back at the guild, Lena and the branch leader are stunned by his report of defeating 3 tyrant golems. His reward is a promotion and a pile of noble commissions. As Lena gleefully informs him, he can no longer accept low-rank errands. The news sends him into a state of pure, unadulterated horror, his dream of a simple life shattering before his eyes. He realizes that since Arya witnessed the golems, he must erase every last trace of the battle to protect his identity. He considers using a forbidden elemental magic to wipe the slate clean, but hesitates, recalling his master's stern warning. Deciding against such a drastic measure, he resolves to just clean up quickly while everyone is still unconscious. With a wave of his hand, he prepares to use his power to erase the evidence and get this over with. He stops in confusion, realizing the entire area has been mysteriously wiped clean, leaving him to wonder what just happened. He senses an overwhelming magical power, far denser than any grade 0 threat he's ever faced. He runs towards the source, finding the 3 golem cores pulsing strangely on the ground. To his disbelief, the remains begin to merge, forming a single colossal monster of unprecedented size. The newly formed golem unleashes a devastating attack, sending Blanc flying from the sheer force of the blow. He lands on his feet just in time to face another crushing strike from the towering beast. He barely blocks the attack, admitting this new form is surprisingly tough to handle. He quickly analyzes the creature, realizing its material composition is the same despite its increased power. Leaping back, he puts some distance between himself and the monster to reassess his strategy. He deduces the golem absorbed the ambient magic to reinforce itself, then dives in to strike its core. With a confident smirk, he declares that understanding the enemy's nature makes defeating it a simple matter. He decides this monster is the perfect outlet for his frustration over the failed errand. With a powerful leap, he positions himself high above the golem, preparing for a devastating downward thrust. Twisting his body mid-air, he channels all his force into a single, decisive strike. He unleashes a whirlwind of slashes, completely overwhelming the colossal monster with his speed. He reasons that if magic is the problem, then overwhelming it with even stronger magic is the simple solution. The golem shatters into countless pieces, leaving a nearby adventurer to stare in disbelief at the raw display of power. The monster's remains turn to dust, leaving no valuable materials behind, a truly profitless fight. He looks over the barren battlefield, relieved that he's at least managed to erase all evidence of the fight. Carrying Arya on his back, he returns to the city gates, only to be met with scorn from the other adventurers. Back at the guild, the branch leader's face contorts in pure shock, unable to process what he's hearing. A confused Arya wakes up in an unfamiliar bed, trying to piece together what happened. Lena enters the room with a cheerful smile, relieved to see that Arya has finally regained consciousness. Realizing she's at the guild, Arya's memory of the forest quest comes flooding back with a jolt. As another adventurer recounts the terrifying golem attack, Lena calmly reassures a panicked Arya that she is now safe. Arya eagerly asks if the guild sent a rescue party, but Lena is suddenly interrupted before she can answer. The branch leader bursts onto the scene, overcome with emotion as he welcomes someone back with a tearful roar. He grabs a stunned Blanc in a bone-crushing hug, apologizing for not being able to save him himself. While Blanc's mind goes completely blank from the overwhelming display, Arya learns the emotional man is the strict branch leader. Lena corrects Arya's assumption, revealing with a smile that her true savior was none other than Blanc himself. She adds that Blanc claimed the golem had already vanished, leaving Arya to wonder if her mentor secretly defeated the monster. Lena asks Arya to recount the events in the forest, but Arya struggles to believe Blanc was her savior. As Lena takes notes, Arya's fragmented testimony paints a chaotic picture of the attack. She recalls dodging a swarm of monsters only to be knocked unconscious by the golem's final decisive blow. Lena reasons that since a battle was seen from town, Blanc must have arrived just in time to save her. Arya suddenly realizes her injuries are completely healed, speculating a powerful, wandering adventurer must have helped. A fleeting memory of the Black Emperor crosses her mind, but she quickly dismisses the impossible thought. Resolved to thank her mysterious savior, Arya watches as Blanc is being celebrated by the emotional guild leader. Seeing him being tossed in the air by the grateful man, Lena and Arya decide to wait until he's less busy. Ignoring the celebration, a desperate Blanc slams his hands on the counter, demanding another quest. Lena simply offers a knowing smile, ready to process yet another one of his peculiar requests. Lena explains that due to the forest lockdown, all low-rank field missions are suspended, crushing Blanc's spirit. A month later, adventurers are still investigating the golem incident, with no end in sight for the forest restrictions. With no errands left, Lena cheerfully suggests this is the perfect time for Blanc to finally take a promotion exam. He leaves the guild, annoyed by the disruption, vanishing so quickly that Lena is left talking to thin air. He briefly considers giving up and just tending his garden for the day, since there are no jobs available. But he realizes that waiting for others to solve the problem goes against his new creed as an errand-loving adventurer. With renewed purpose, he resolves to handle the source of the problem himself to protect his simple lifestyle. After confirming no one saw him leave, he stealthily makes his way towards the edge of town. He sneaks past the gate guards, preparing to enter the massive and now restricted demon forest alone. Once inside, he decides to track the faint magical signature he sensed during the previous golem attack. He considers flying but dismisses the idea, wanting to avoid drawing unwanted attention with his magic. Opting for a more discreet approach, he decides to simply run, confident he'll reach his destination eventually. His journey is interrupted by a massive beast, which he recognizes as one of the monsters Arya saw fleeing the forest. The rank 6 rock grizzly lunges, but Blanc effortlessly dodges, too focused on his mission to waste time on a fight. With a final leap, he leaves the enraged monster in his dust, promising to deal with it on his return trip. A flicker of annoyance crosses his face as he realizes the forest chaos is becoming a genuine nuisance. He soon encounters a trio of high-level threats, a berserk Trent, a tyrant golem, and a chaos monkey. Realizing the guild's reports were wrong, he leaps past the powerful monsters, annoyed that they're obstructing his path. Surrounded by chaos, he calmly assesses the situation, noting the scene reminds him of his grueling training days with his master. Deciding he's had enough of the interruptions, he finally draws his sword to clear a path through the horde. A flashback reveals his stern master, a powerful elf, screaming his name during a harsh training session. He recalls her brutal lessons on focus and survival, realizing how much he's grown since then. He continues his sprint, reflecting that his master's training regimen was definitely not suitable for a kid. After 3 days of running, he worries about the guild's suspicion and the branch leader's overly emotional welcome. He finally reaches his destination, a clearing containing the very core of the forest's magic. Blanc senses an overwhelming power, realizing the fused golem was nothing compared to this. He calmly calls out to the empty clearing, announcing that he knows someone is hiding there. Annoyed by his 3-day journey, he demands the hidden presence show itself as a mysterious figure begins to appear. He deftly dodges a surprise attack from massive tendrils, confirming this is the source of the immense aura he's been tracking. A woman emerges from the foliage, sensing something strange about him and questioning if he's even human. Blanc calmly confirms her assessment, not bothering to deny the strange aura she senses. The woman identifies herself as a demon lord, questioning how a human can radiate the presence of the 6th demon lord. Blanc is baffled by her claim, recalling that he was taught only 5 demon lords ever existed. She hopes for a peaceful talk, but wonders why the 6th lord would need a weapon, connecting him to the golem attack. He asks for an explanation, and she reveals the previous 6th lord was unlike any of the others. She describes the original as a mindless vessel of destruction, a child of magic born only to erase everything. With a cryptic look, she decides the only way to be sure about him is to test his power herself. She transforms, unleashing a terrifying storm of dark tendrils from a massive, blooming flower. Blanc grips his sword, realizing his hopes for a peaceful negotiation have just been completely destroyed. He deflects the barrage of attacks, grimly admitting that his sword alone might not be enough to win this fight. He effortlessly carves through her thorny assault, deciding that even if they understand each other, their paths are destined to clash. The Demon Lord calmly accepts their conflict, declaring that her kind will always be humanity's natural enemy. With no other option against her overwhelming assault, he resigns himself to using a more drastic measure. His sudden display of immense power leaves the Demon Lord in shock, questioning how she could be so thoroughly dominated. Facing her true arsenal, he accepts the inevitable battle, more concerned about his master's future lecture than the actual danger.